Roll call.
Stefan? No. Dr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Malcolm? Mr. Mislinski? Mr. Powell?
Here.
Mr. Schwartzmeyer?
Here.
Ms. Delli? Here. Mayor Hughes?
Here.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our March regular meeting. We have a preliminary matter to start with for our mayor to read the proclamation for Library Week 2025.
Thank you. Very honored to recognize and proclamation for our National Library Week here of 2025. And whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can explore new ideas and be drawn to new possibilities. Whereas libraries serve as vibrant community hubs, connecting people with knowledge, technology, and resources while fostering civic engagement, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. Whereas libraries provide free and equitable access to books, digital tools, and innovative programming, ensuring that all individuals, regardless of background, have the support they need to learn, connect, and thrive. Whereas libraries partner with schools, businesses, and organizations, connecting the dots to maximize resources, increase efficiency, and expand access to essential services, strengthening the entire community. Whereas libraries empower job seekers, entrepreneurs, lifelong learners by providing access to resources, training, and opportunities that support career growth and economic success. Whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEAM programs, and literacy initiatives, fostering curiosity and a love of learning that lasts a lifetime. Whereas libraries protect the right to read, think, and explore without censorship, standing as champions of intellectual freedom and free expression. Whereas dedicated librarians and library workers provide welcoming spaces that inspire discovery, collaboration, and creativity for all. Whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the country are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme Drawn to the Library. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Borough Council of the Borough of Franklin Park, proclaim April 6th through 12th, 2025 as National Library Week. During this week, we encourage all residents to visit Northland Public Library, explore its resources, and celebrate all the ways that the library draws us together as a community. This is proclaimed this 19th day of March 2025. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Motion number one.
Move to proclaim the week of April 6th through 12th, 2025 as National Library Week.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion number one carries. Public comments. Residents, taxpayers of the borough are permitted to comment in current matters of concern or agenda items which are before council this evening. If you'd like to address borough council this evening, we ask that you please stand at the microphone, give your name, spell your last name, give your address so you'll be properly identified with a minute record. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. As an alternative, written comments can be submitted public comments at franklinparkborough.us prior to 12 noon Eastern Time on Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, or to be considered at this meeting. Please include March 19th public comment as the subject of your email and include your name and address so you're properly identified with a minute record. we do have some speakers that are signed up. So if you would like to speak, I will call your name. So the first speaker is Daniel Puntel. Am I saying it correctly?
Okay.
I'm number two, just 5 minutes behind him.
Yes, be sure to hold the button down or we'll be able to like, record you. Sure.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having this monthly meeting. I'm Mark Jennings. I've been a resident of Franklin Park Borough since 1989. When my daughter was born here, we were on Valley View Court in Hunter Creek and then moved over to the infamous Oak Leaf Lane, which we are going to talk about a little bit today. Quite frankly, in some of my correspondence with Reach and everybody else, I love the borough. I love where we are. I love what we've done. And I've known Tim Phillips for a long time as I was a custom builder for much of my life, developed development properties and worked in Diamond Run and did lots of building in Franklin Park. So I appreciate where we are. What I did or was surprised about and somewhat disappointed about is recently receiving the letter on March 13th from Reach, claiming that at this time the borough has decided to clear 14 healthy, beautiful blue spruce 14-foot trees that have been at the border of Oak Leaf Lane and Reese Run Road. And they have been in place since the plan was built for landscaping, not the same trees, has been in place since 1992. I happened to work for Ryan Homes at the time. They put the plan in, I think it was the Schneider property, I can't recall, but that whole backside put in the pool. We took over the Elks Club, we put the pool community in, and I think we have 186 residents in the Franklin Ridge community. So we very much enjoy it, and we're here today to actually just bring to public light this conversation because it doesn't seem to be a conversation. There's been meetings without invitation. There's been meetings on site apparently about trees that have been there 33 years. Now, if we all sit in this room and subtract 33 years of our lives, where were we? And those trees have been there since then. So we're here today, myself, Dan Puntiel, and Marissa, the owner of the property on Reese Run Road, to clarify and declare that we disagree with this interpretation of this letter. We'd like to look to any other alternatives. I personally have offered maintenance agreements to the borough, insurance of the borough. Franklin Ridge have maintained those trees professionally, landscaped with great arborist care for 32 years. So if that cost us $3,000 a year for that hill, that's $100 grand in that pocket just to take care of that. So it's a compliment. It's a windbreak to that hill. It's a privacy factor for people driving up Reese Run Road back and forth. And there has never been, in my knowledge, an incident that has required any service in this strip of maybe of the 14 trees. I did talk to the water authority. The water line is 4 feet deep, and then it goes below that. It's an 8-inch line. I was a developer. The mounding is 2 feet high, and the trees, being pine trees, do not have deep roots. So the danger of an oak tree or breaking up things is minimal to none. We can even call the water authority if you'd like. So we would like to find a way to work together. We are in the right of way. We are in the road right of way. But that's been that way since Ryan Homes put its first model in on Oak Leaf Lane. And that was the first house on the right. I live in the first house on the left, 1670. So obviously the exposure and the traffic and the lights and the snow and everything else will be greatly affected by taking this down. There are many numerous examples in the borough where telephone poles 1 foot off the road and things like that. So we don't see it as a safety hazard. We'd like to work with the borough in some satisfactory way to keep these trees. And that's what we're here for tonight.
Just about that, our first speaker, Mr. Gill, would you like to speak? Or,
Hi, my name is Dan Puntil,
you gotta
P-U-N.
press the button now.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
You have to hold it.
You have to hold it, sorry.
You have to hold it too. Sorry. My name is Dan Puntil, P-U-N-T-I-L. I'm also a resident of Franklin Ridge. Mark asked me to come speak. I was actually, approached by my neighbor Neil O'Keefe, maybe back in November about this incident with trees. At the time, I served as the president of the association for Franklin Ridge. I was president for 12 years or more, and was responsible for a lot of the improvements that were made or in and around our development. The trees, and I'll get to this in a minute. So the trees have been there for 33 years. Approximately 8 to 10 years ago, we were asked by the borough to trim the trees back because there's a traffic sign there that was not legible to drive. So we trimmed the trees back. The result of that ended up basically killing the trees. So we made a decision to replace the trees because we were never aware of the fact that we were in the right of way. Now, ignorance is not an excuse, I get that, but the fact is for 32 years, no one's approached us about the fact that we were in the right of way until November of last year. And it just seems rather odd that there would be such enforcement out of the blue. I would have thought, someone would have said 32 years ago, you can't plant trees there. Nobody did. And I would have thought when they said, we need you to cut back the trees because they're in the right of way, or you need to cut them down, we probably would have done that. But then we went on and spent upwards of $35,000 putting in a wall to designate the entrance and plant replacement trees, which will be, the mountain, because they grow directly up, they don't grow wide, they go into the street and whatnot. So there was a lot of thought process in putting what trees we would put in there and the cost associated with that. So for more, I'm in commercial real estate, I completely understand the aspect of you would have, if there's an emergency or there would see nothing be done, we're perfectly happy with you coming and tearing down the trees just as if something would happen in my front yard and I had to get a new water line. So we accept that responsibility and fully intended to pass it along to the borough and give you your assurances, either in writing or however you want it, to have access to that and tear down the trees if you have to. But at the moment, there's no reason to do this other than they're in the right of way. So I took a very quick drive tonight and I got to the top of Art Road and made a right instead of making a left and saw Franklin Run, the entrance to their development. They have trees in the right of way on both sides. Hartman Farms, trees in the right of way. So if you're going to enforce our trees, then you need to enforce all consistently in the borough. The letter that we received said that they consistently enforce the right of ways. Well, that's patently untrue. No one has enforced that for 32 years. So I think it's an overreach. We're just trying to be good neighbors. I can provide you with the pictures I took of the other plans that are in violation, but this seems like, selective enforcement to me. And so, we love to work with the borough. We're all residents, all pay taxes. We were never informed we were in the right of way for 32 years. Now they want us to tear down our 30,000 trees. So I think it's a little bit of injustice. So again, as Mark said, we're here to be good neighbors, to work with the borough. It just seems to be an overreach. So we appreciate your consideration very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, just going down the list, our next speaker is sign up, Trevor, and she can't read last name, Siderb, am I reading it correctly? First name is Trevor. We think.
1630 Forest Ridge Drive.
Yes, I'm not speaking. I thought I was signing in as a.
Okay. Hours, do you want to speak? Yourself.
Here observing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and then our final speaker that's, signed up, Marissa Hinfire, if I say it right.
You're gonna hear about my birds again.
You just gotta hold down, yeah.
I'm Marissa Hinsmeyer, Hintemeyer. I own the property, that the previous gentleman talked about where the trees sit. It was that way when I purchased my home 8 years ago. I bought in September of, 2017. At the time I actually bought it, we were told that that wasn't even our property. It had been turned over to the HOA. I didn't actually find out until I got the letter from Mr. Knock that I actually do own that property still. And then I have spoken actually to the people who owned the house when I guess when the agreement was reached with the HOA to plant the trees. I spoke with Ms. Reesner about it as well, and she kind of told me how that all played out. Basically same thing, just like kind of like what they were saying. I bought the property this way. We love the trees. You know, there's already at this time of year, like nests in them. My daughter loves to go up and like peek in the nest and watch the birds. And, you know, so same thing. If there was just any way that we can keep them in any kind of form, obviously as the property owner, we like privacy. It looks nice. They always keep it nicely maintained and everything for us as well. So basically just here to kind of back up the HOA as the property owner. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, monthly reports, the minutes of the February 19th, 2025 pre and post meeting, the February 19th, 2025 regular meeting, and the March 5th, 2025 work session minutes were given to mayor and council. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing as there are none, motion number 2.
Move the minutes of February 19th, 2025 pre-post meeting and February 19th, 2025 regular meeting and the March 5th, 2025 work session minutes be approved. Second.
Any discussion? All is for? Against? Abstained? Motion number 2 carries. Treasurer's financial report.
Thank you. Starting with the revenue for the month of February, the general fund revenue totaled $185,563. That represents 1.32% of the 25 total budget. The year-to-date revenue through February totaled $451,966. That represents 3.21% of the total 25 budget. On the expenditure side, the general fund expenditures for the month of February total $611,379. That represents 4% of the 25 total budget. The general fund expenditures year to date through February, $1,345,111. That represents 8.81% of the 25 total budget year to date. That is the end of the report, Mr. President.
Motion number 3.
Move the February treasurer's financial report be accepted as written. Second.
Any discussion? All is for? Against? Abstained? Motion carries. Police report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. During February, our Franklin Park Police had 470 calls for service, resulting in 7 arrests, 2 DUI, 1 fleeing, 1 disorderly conduct, 1 warrant, and 1 retail theft. 234 warnings and 80 citations were issued. We had one special response team detail, which resulted in assisting Marshall Township with the warrant service, and that completes the police report.
Recommend the police report be filed with the police secretary.
Fire report.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fire company responded to 23 calls for the month of February, including 8 fire alarm system activations, 6 dispatch and canceled en route, 3 vehicle accidents, 1 chimney fire, 1 extrication of occupant from a house after a tree fell and crushed it, 1 water problem, 1 false call, 1 passenger vehicle fire, and 1 federal assignment for Ohio Township. The fire company was assisted by other fire companies 3 times, and we assisted other fire companies 6 times. Year-to-date fire calls are 57. For the month of February, we expended 380 volunteering hours. In the past 12 months, the company expended 6,514 volunteering hours. The chief has a note here on fundraising. The 2024 fundraising effort mailed 5,783 requests for donations on the first mailing to households and businesses in the borough, and 5,145 on the second mailing. All told, 954 households responded, which equals 16.5% of households in the borough. The fire company hopes that a larger number of households participate in our annual drive and report.
Building inspector's report.
Yes, Mr. President, construction report for February 2025, 12 permits were issued for the month, 1 single-family dwelling, 3 additions, 6 decks, 1 commercial occupancy, and 1 miscellaneous permit. Total value of construction for the month was $1,102,848, and total fees collected for the month were $11,567. End of report, Mr. President.
Thanks. Announcement of executive session. Council met on March 5th to discuss a potential property acquisition, and earlier this evening on March 19th to discuss personal issue and a potential property acquisition as well. Old business, there is none. On to new business. Motion number 4.
Move council authorize the payment of the bills which have been reviewed and approved since the last meeting.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstained? Motion carries. Motion number 5.
Move to grant the revised final approval for subdivision application number SF-25-01-01 submitted by Latera Holdings LLC for the Cardinal Ridge Plan, the 26-lot townhouse subdivision located at 2570 Alden Drive in the M2 zoning district. Contingent upon compliance with the building inspector staff report dated February 19th, 2025, and a letter from Lennon Smith Solar Engineering dated February 14th, 2025.
Any discussion? Council members? Wait a second. Oh, sorry.
Second, but it's Mr. President, I believe we have discussion here. Are the applicants here? Please.
I'm Mike McEnany with Fox Lane Homes. I can be building the actual homes in the neighborhood. Good evening, my name is Vincenzo Matarazzo. I'm an owner at Latera Holdings LLC. Place of builder, KU Resources, the civil engineer and surveyors.
Thank you, guys. I guess I'll start. I know that you submitted a stormwater plan in the past day or two. There's some concern there because it's an old plan. What we approved was an underground storage facility, and that's not what was on the plan that was submitted. We understand that previously this was going to be corporate owned and rented out. And it's a change now, so we're concerned about this change and who's going to maintain it in the future.
So I can address the stormwater thing. There was just some confusion between Tim and I. So it is still an underground service. We can get into all the details, but that part of it has not changed since 2023. So there's an older version from 2022 that got submitted because I thought that's what we needed, but was incorrect. So I think that issue is resolved.
What about the maintenance issue? How are we going to maintain that in the future?
There'll be a homeowner association meeting and all stormwater. And the responsibility of the homeowner association through the town agreement.
Okay, great. My next question was, in the plan, there are two types of homes. Obviously, we've just amended the ordinance, so that it's possible you have, 3 plus an attic and a basement, assuming the basement is 50% below grade. There's also, a drawing, which is just, looks like 2 stories, I guess. One of them is going to be a basement. But what are the plans? Are we going all 3 stories? Are we doing some 2 stories?
All the product is the same product. It's, enter on the first floor, which is a garage, and then you'll have, the standard plan will be a first floor and second floor. There will be options if someone they finish the attic space. But no, all the product is the exact same.
So this is what kind of throws, this won't be one of the bids.
No, that's another plan.
The question then is, the basement, by the way, I guess is what I have a question about. How are you going to achieve the 50% below grade? Assuming that's what you need to do, to conform to the ordinance, or is it with the current topography, or are you going to have to kind of fill everything in? Also, I noticed that you're talking about patios and sunrooms. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, depending on your answer to the first part.
So you enter, there's earthwork that's gonna take place in the site that the terror is gonna be doing. But you're gonna enter in the garage on the first floor, and then on the sides of the building, the grade's gonna go up, and then the whole entire back of the building is you'll be up on the second floor. So if you're in the home, the family room, kitchen, dining room area, you'll be able to walk outside right onto grade. So the basement is buried. So the whole back of the house and the sides are backfilled. It's just in front of the building that is.
Yeah, let's show that. Okay. And is that something that you can achieve with what's there now? Or you're going to have to remove a lot of dirt, and we worry about slopes at all?
I don't believe so, but I'll let the engineer. Yeah, so as part of that approval back in 2022 or 2023, that was, kind of a big point of contention was to minimize and eliminate as much of the steep slope disturbance we could. So, the revised grade that you had seen back then and through now has only changed for 1 unit to meet that 50%. So the finished floors of all those, again, have not changed except for 2 units, because they're stepped since 2023. So I believe that's addressed. So yes, there is bulk earthworking that has to occur to excavate the pond, grade in the road, grade in the units, but that's all fixed on the plan, and limit disturbance will be staked out so that the steep slopes are preserved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, so, usually you will have HOA, right? And so, do you have any HOA document that can be reviewed by the Borough solicitor? Just like that.
We have HOA documents that we can submit to. If you haven't had a copy of the file, then we'll have HOA documents.
No, I don't think we've seen them. We do receive them, when, for the plan at the beginning is, yes, it's an HOA, that's how we're gonna have it, so it does get submitted, and I know with the change of the structure, it's a more recent item. When we review them, typically, we suggest and ask for, essentially an enforcement action that the borough can take, you know, if the HOA stops maintaining the facility, particularly the stormwater. That's our big. Essentially, the borough is almost a third-party beneficiary, or however you want to say it, that although the HOA can assess members, you know, for maintenance of the pond, they don't do so. If something happens, we essentially step in the shoes of the HOA as opposed to our typical process where we're entity and we have to pursue individuals through stormwater enforcement actions, citations. So in other instances, you know, we've had either in Tim Stacker's work, we've had homeowners associations proposed, even though your documents aren't going to be ready yet, but there's usually a condition that they be reviewed and recommendations be made by the solicitor to include enforcement rights for the borough.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's consistent with what we've seen on all the as well, especially with the DEP's role and regulations, you know, they're on their things there. So that's already standard and we can all work with it.
Any other questions?
Ben should definitely have plans for an HOA, so this probably answered the question, but as far as the responsibility for maintaining the exterior finished materials on the townhouse units, like the roofs, the siding, and the attached structures. Typically, my understanding is that there's like a common fund the HOA dumps money into and plans ahead so that stuff can be maintained. Is that what the plan would be here, is the HOA would have a common fund, assess the different owners so they can take care of the maintenance of the properties going forward?
Yes, I mean, that's a very typical, way that you can do that. I'd have to get, you know, with Aaron, you know, as the builder coming in towards the end here, but, you know, so we do that. Either that way, or typically with attached units, it's ongoing because they're in done at the same time. You can't do a roof replacement without, you know, the whole roof being done. So I would imagine minimally, you know, roofing, siding, exterior painting, all that.
Any other questions? Okay, a couple of questions. Okay, so you mentioned HOA, there will be an HOA, your plan is to provide documentation or template to Phillips, right? So that's an action item. Are any retaining walls going to be added to enforce? I mean, this is an engineering question. Are any retaining walls being planned out? Are they going to be added? You are moving quite a bit of dirt to meet 50%.
Yeah, at this time, we're not showing any, you know, I can't say that I don't know how to do that or want to do that, but we're kind of limited, you know, the pond is sized on a certain footprint of house and impervious surface, so, you know, but it's not part of the initial build, if that answers your question.
Okay. Okay, and then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, you often have issues with multifamily townhomes there, so if one person wants a wall, then you're gonna have coordination with all that are there, either that going to be, if you draw the lot lines, you know, this wall is going to go across, but I mean, I know with respect to putting the dirt behind, and as you're saying, you're going to slope on the side, there's no needed for retaining walls. That would be common elements that would be maintained by the HOA rather than individual homeowners.
You're coming down off Mullen Drive, the road is actually fairly flat, it's kind of on a bridge. So while there's slope from front to back of the units, slope across the face of the units really isn't that significant. So you shouldn't have, you know, only one building really has steps in it, the first building on the right. The other buildings are all the same finished floors, so there really isn't that need to have that vertical separation as you might if each unit was stacked if it was on a steeper brick. So, you know, whether they have fences in between the two, you know, comment on that. But as far as retaining walls, again, I don't believe they're.
What's the intention for dedicating street and storm sewers to the borough? I know that when you did originally apply in 2023, there were rentals of corporate ownership, but now it's actually private residential and actually HOA. Are the streets gonna be dedicated and storm sewers as well, or is it being privately maintained by the HOA?
The intent is to dedicate the streets, and I presume that we would dedicate the sports or any other facilities that, you know, the borough would entertain taking, so. Obviously, sanitary sewer, we have agreement with MTSA, so we asked that was the intent of the works that we're laid out.
And then it is gonna be an underground facility, which the HOA will maintain. And, but will the borough be granted an easement? We're just thinking emergency situations.
Yeah, there's already a stormwater arrangement around the entire area that will provide for access to the road.
Okay, any questions for my colleagues?
Will we be getting drawings that show the side elevations, the end elevations of the units as well? I don't think, all we have is a front view. I mean, we do have an ordinance about the final appearance. The ends can't be blank. They have to be a consistent facade around the end walls of each unit as well.
Yeah, we, last month at the planning commission meeting, we provided side, and rear, and, went through all the details of the specifications at the planning commission meeting last month. I can get you a copy of those drawings, another 10 again.
And did you see those at the meeting?
I saw some elevation drawings, but, they were just typical, I guess, drawings. That's what you received. And the typical drawings didn't reflect any proposed, which we just found out about also at planning commission, some of those decks, patios, things like that.
Yeah, we had 3 different materials on the sides. Board mat siding, with vertical siding, with stone, with rim boards. So there's a lot of, we did it.
No bay porches or decks or anything like that.
Off the side?
Yeah.
No. Oh, some bay windows, there'll be some bay windows on the sides, like box bay windows. And the side windows. But also know for the extensive landscaping that goes down the side, there's extensive landscaping and trees that get planted right down the side of the buildings, on both sides. So I would imagine after a couple of years, you're not even going to see the sides of the building, but we are doing 3 different facades, on the sides, and the rears of the buildings.
I guess the question would be, we do have in 212 of our zoning ordinance, we do have standards for permitted and conditional use for multifamily structures. And there's several design elements and architectural items that are spelled out in that particular chapter. We just want to be sure you're aware of that, because we haven't seen the level of detail yet from the drawings that would demonstrate that section has been totally, the requirements have been met.
Yeah, I thought that they were, so this is at least, so I'll look at that again and we'll address it. But I believe that they have been. I believe the original plan was approved, and, the original plan that was approved, we're doing more than what's on that original plan, so. I believe this was addressed.
We can provide a list of the ones we'd like to just verify that weren't totally apparent from what we've seen so far.
Yes, that'd be great.
And to Mr. Schwarzmeyer's point, I mean, that there isn't a provision in the ordinance that, accounts for screening or landscaping or planting, that the design details are there. That's the basic, the minimum that can be done. If you put additional screening or anything else there, that's part of the landscaping plan, but it doesn't exempt you from doing, four-side design or having architectural detail or anything else.
Yeah, to the point that was made, the staff, report did enumerate a number of those that had questions on it. As stated, we went through each one of the point by point of the planning commission meeting, so we believe, at least we satisfied them. We can certainly put an official response to that, which I think is part of the contingency in the motion with, you know, again, what satisfied the planning commission, but we believe that, again, it does meet.
I'm sorry if you guys answered this already. I just wanted to be clear. I think what I heard you say was there's no plans for patios, decks, or sunrooms in the units that you guys are building. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we have, you know, since the rear is like when you come out the back, you're at grade. So you know, we have, I mean, people are definitely gonna want to put a covered porch or patio outside the back that, we'll definitely be selling that, there'll be an option for people to buy. But, you know, we have the way it's designed, they can go, about 10 feet, to do a patio. Won't be decks necessarily because it's at grade, but it becomes a patio or something and, put a grill or something on it. Absolutely something that people would like.
Is that something that it can't be in the plans now because there's an option for them to choose to build that?
Correct. Yeah.
So, maybe probably interested in seeing what that might look like at least in some form, right?
The building envelopes that are on the current plan do reflect that potential for the larger whatever option.
Yeah.
So whereas the base unit is 40 feet, the building envelope and therefore the impervious surface that's included as a maximum impervious surface is reflected 52 feet. So from an engineering perspective, it's considered, but obviously it's up to each individual homeowner as to what piece they want. So difficult to show exactly what it is, but they can provide you at least what those could look like, I think, but I think it's described what they would ultimately be.
And just so I understand that those additions won't change how you need to deal with the back for like carving out or steep slope or anything like that.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I actually have one. So would you say that the low portion of this development is going to be at the street and both sides of the street is going to slope towards the street?
Yes, the street's a low point and the driveways go
Okay.
up on us.
So that would be correct. So you're not going to have to bring a lot of material to accomplish your 50% below grade at the basement.
Correct, because we're basically cutting the basements into the.
Because I didn't look at the grading plan real well, but that's not clicking with me from your grading plan, but I could be wrong. I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, I mean, so like by way of example, in a lot of, don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I was looking at it yesterday, so I think it's right, but like the front of the street elevation might be 1250 on a couple of the units, plus or minus a foot, because it's fairly flat, as I said. And then your first floor for that garage elevation is, approximately 2 feet higher than the road. And then the grade at the rear of that walkout is essentially 10 feet higher than the road on both sides. So generally speaking.
That is on both sides.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, sounds like that, outstanding action item that I see from my perspective is the HOA document. When can you submit that? A template?
I can get a sample document to you this week or early next week. To get the whole budget and everything together, the final document, probably, a little bit of time.
I think we wanted to see at least a concept of the patio sunroom stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the drawings, concept of the drawings, the additional drawings, right? Okay. Was there anything else that we needed? Okay. Any other questions, clarifications?
They said they had answered the stuff with the planning commission, I guess informally, that there might be stuff that they shared with the planning commission that it would help us understand what was going on if you guys can get us duplicates of what you shared with them. because you already indicated that two of the things that we were looking at weren't what the plan actually was. So it would be great if we could get clarification on those documents that you showed planning commission.
So there are four options, right?
Well, in terms of the action items, we're within the 90 days, for, an approval. So essentially your four options: one, approve the motion as read; two, deny the motion; three, essentially table till next month with the direction for the action items; or four, amend the motion to reflect that these items, are to be provided, as part of essentially amending the conditions listed in Mr. Phillips' staff report.
Mr. President, I move that we table this motion until next month, to allow the applicant's time to complete the action items and Mr. Phillips' time to update his staff report.
Okay. Is there any discussion? No? Okay, all those for? Aye. All those against? All abstain? Okay, motion to table, motion number 5, is approved. Do we have a list of all the items?
That was a,
Right,
Mr. Phillips.
do you have everything you need?
I will say this.
Okay,
So just so we're clear, like, you're here, the planning commission presented all the stuff last week, they made a recommendation, we went through all the same questions. So coming back next month, you want, like, I just have to go through the same process, and bring the plans again, or? Like, I'm just talking about like the side elevation and stuff, like,
Mhm.
it wasn't, once we got that recommendation, I figured that he satisfied, that part of it.
well, totally understand. Planning commission is an advisory commission. There are some new members on there, and there's some of these questions we're not, based on their recommendation, the report, I mean, there's a lot of outstanding items here that we have questions for, right? I mean, we're trying to clarify it as we were asking questions earlier. It is set by us.
So it's just so we're prepared for next month.
Yeah.
It's the side elevations, you have to show you that we're satisfied with that. And then
HOA,
you want the HOA docs.
Yeah, finishes and drawings and proposed patio summary.
And I think, we can task Tim to put together a letter to send out tomorrow, so you have it in writing, documenting this. And Tim, what type of turnaround, would you need in terms of getting this ready for the April work session meeting and then the April vote meeting?
We would like to see it as soon as possible, because the sooner we get it, the sooner we can get, a review on it. But, what I'm looking for is elevation drawings revised. But drawings, some details of what the additions are gonna look like. Dimensions, things like that, and HOA documents. I guess there won't be a whole lot of review for any of these. I guess I'll look at some drawings of the buildings too, because the buildings that were submitted were single story, so I could have basically elevation drawings 360. And then, the HOA documents would have to be under review by the solicitor, so I guess it's gonna hinge on you.
And we don't need, final ones or anything, just your draft, typical ones, as necessary, just check that one.
So if we can get this, which deadline?
Packet deadline is next Wednesday. It gets to go in council electronic packet for the work session.
Yeah. Could you get it to me, Brian?
Yeah, I think we produced the documents, so.
Mine would be good.
Well, and yeah, there was materials given to the planning commission that did make it in here, but as we're saying, they're sort of two-story designs, so you gotta pull those, essentially a replacement set. Pull out what wasn't needed and add the additional detail as well as the HOA, because that was a cause of confusion, and as President said, the planning commission is advisory body, that's why we get 90 days in total to review a plan, because this one has a lot of history. it's confusing even for the engineers, which plans have been provided at one time. We just want to be extra sure that, this is, ready to be approved.
So again, to reiterate, elevation drawings showing 360 of the buildings. Additions, elevation drawings of the additions, and all these things should have dimensions, obviously, and then the HOA drawings.
Monday's good.
Good choice, thank you.
And
And just go put that all in a letter or email tomorrow.
I'll advise my staff for sort of those conditions.
whatever's easiest. No, thank you. Okay, on to, motion number 6.
Move Northwest Bank letter of credit number 830500440. The amendment amount $95,100 for the Blackup Investments Office Building reduced by $9,390 to $85,710 in accordance with the letter from Lennon Smith Solar Engineering, Inc., dated March 11th, 2025.
Any discussion? All,
I'm just wondering if the engineer knew what the actual request was for the reduction, if we changed it in any way.
It was down to zero, right? It wasn't
Request for release.
Yeah, that is correct. They did request for release. There are some pending paperwork items that we have not received yet.
all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Stay. Motion carries.
Move to authorize the purchase of a Jacobson HR 600 wide area mower for the Parks Department from Baker Vehicle Systems of Macedonia, Ohio, under Omnia Partners contract number 20470 at a cost of $89,413.
Any discussion? All is for?
Aye.
Against? Stay. Motion carries.
Move to authorize the purchase of the Green Master E-Triflex 3360 mower for the Clover Hill Golf Course from E.H. Griffith, Inc., of Pittsburgh, PA, through contracting distributor The Toro Company under Omnia Partners contract number 2023261 at a cost of $70,303.89.
Second.
Any discussion? All is for?
Aye.
Against? Stay. Motion carries.
Move to authorize the purchase of an ABI Force V23 SLT infield groomer with attachments for the Parks Department from Baker Vehicle Systems Incorporated of Macedonia, Ohio, under state contract number 44000283329, under parent contract 44000283305, at a cost of $44,339.
Any discussion? All is for?
Aye.
Against? Stay. Motion carries.
Move to award Wright Asphalt and Concrete of Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, the bid for milling and disposal of bituminous paving materials on streets within the Borough of Franklin Park and the Township of Ohio at a rate of $2.63 per square yard.
Any discussion? All is for? Against? Stay. Motion carries.
Move the following 2025 spring commodities bids be awarded and submitted to the Shaycog Purchasing Alliance for its bid opening on March 6, 2025, as stated in the posted agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All is for? Against? Stay. Motion carries. Can we reopen this?
No, he said.
Oh, okay. Yep, okay, sounds good. Okay, comments, Chief, just go down with Pro.
Yes, we have, just want to let you know that the Public Works will be hauling, leaf mulch in to the park for storage unit, storage areas. That'll be next Friday. And I wanted to mention too is our chipping season is going to be starting on April 7th. And it'll go for probably a couple weeks. So, just want to let everybody know so everybody's ready to pass up. We do one pass around the borough, and once we're done, that's it until the fall chipping season. That's all. That's all I have.
Bill?
Nothing, Mr. President.
Nothing further.
No comments.
Nothing.
Nothing in my name.
Want to remind everyone that National Library Week, April 6th to 12th, pay a visit to your library and, wonderful things for not only Franklin Park, but for our entire community, so. Pay a visit, thank you.
Oh, nothing further, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say, you know, in regards to trees, you know, something we can, talk about tree replenishments. Try to see if there's any programs we can roll out this year, some more to come on that. Also, we're going a little charter, potential open houses in the summer, so more information there, sorry, volunteers. Then, yeah, I just want to give a shout out to these two robotics teams that made it to the World Championships. The reason I bring it up is Pittsburgh is the global capital of robotics. It's a major event happening in the convention center in the next couple of days. Feel free to check it out. Admission's free. That's it for me. Are there any public comments? Anybody else want to speak? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So, second.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.